All right, we are live. I'd like to call to order the McDonald Board of Zoning Appeals for Wednesday, November 4th, 2020. Roll.
Mr. Minor,
Here.
Mr. Coleridge,
Present.
Mr. Parker,
Here.
Mr. Jones.
Here.
All right, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. And we do have a flag with Mr. Panko. If someone have.
Pledge
To the flag
of the
United States of America
and to the
republic for which
for
it
which it
stands,
stands, one
one
nation,
nation,
under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for
for
all.
all.
Okay. Alrighty, approval of minutes from the July 14th, 2020 meeting.
So move.
Moved by Mr. Minor. Discussion. Roll.
Mr. Minor,
Aye.
Mr. Coleridge,
Aye.
Mr. Parker,
Aye.
Mr. Jones.
Aye.
Minutes approved. Approval of tonight's agenda. In the form of a motion, anyone?
So move.
Moved by Mr. Minor. Discussion. Roll.
Mr. Minor,
Aye.
Mr. Coleridge,
Aye.
Mr. Parker,
Aye.
Mr. Jones.
Aye.
The agenda approved. Correspondence received. The only correspondence we do have is the variance request for this evening, which we will discuss later. Reports to the board. I have nothing to report this evening. Our planning commission representative, Mr. Clausen.
No report.
All righty, thank you. Our building and zoning inspector, Mr. Panko.
No report.
All righty. And on to our solicitor, Mr. Ross.
No report tonight, but when we entertain Mr. Mills's variance, Mr. Lewis, if you'd like, I'll remind everybody the factors to consider when deliberating.
Okay, will do. All right, seeing nothing under old business. Moving on to new business. Item A, we have a variance request by Mr. Chris Mills for a height of a structure to be 22 foot 3 inches high, which is 7 foot 3 inches over the 15-foot limit. Before we vote on this variance, we will ask for comments from persons or groups present. So Mr. Mills, at this point in time, I'd like to give you the opportunity to take the floor if you'd had any comments for the board.
Sure. What I'm requesting is a variance for the height. I was not aware of the height restriction on a secondary structure, which makes sense after, reading why it's there. The structure that I want to add to is a detached garage that we want to put a second story on, with a 6 foot, it's a single car garage, 16 by 24. And first of all, I don't want anybody to be confused with I do have a project ongoing that is permitted separately. We are doing a 22 by 32 master bedroom over the garage of the house attached. And during construction or pre-construction, we decided that we wanted to try to do this simultaneously. So I applied for a separate permit for this. And this is where I kind of got hung up. The reason for it is basically, I don't know if you guys are familiar with my wife. She's a school teacher at McDonald, high school art teacher. She does a lot of photography and a lot of art, just Girl Scouts. And she has a abundance of art material and props and everything you can imagine. So this is a place for her to store her items, and maybe even in the future, because right now it's primarily storage, but maybe in the future she could do maybe have her Girl Scout meeting up there or something like that. Even though right now it's kind of under the circumstance of things that are under COVID, we're not doing that. But right now it's just we really need it just for storage. If you know my property, we have the lot behind us that borders Pennsylvania. So there's no neighbor behind me. And then to the right and left of me, or I should say north and south of me, from the north of me, I have Mr. Mazza. I'm sure you guys are familiar with Mr. Mazza's project. So he doesn't have any objections of it. And to the south of me, I have the Kellys, and they would not, I don't even know if they can see this really from their property. So it kind of, the look of it is we already moved the garage door, because the garage door would face my patio. So we already moved the garage door to the side lot facing north, and put a big window in where the garage door was, because it faces the patio. And we're always trying to make it look like a guest house or a little cottage. It's not going to be an eyesore of any means. It's going to look very nice and tie in with the house, with all the features. We have cedar brackets and kind of decorative siding on the house, and it'll match those features, tie into our back patio as such. So that's basically all I have to say is as far as that. If you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer any questions you might have.
Are there any questions from anyone on the board for Mr. Mills, or any comments from anyone on the board? Mr. Panko, did you have any comments?
No, the only question I have for Mr. Mills is, with the new addition you're putting on, the addition to the detached garage, that's not gonna be higher than the house. If when I looked at it the other day again, it looks like that your backyard dips down a little bit, and that wouldn't put your new addition to the detached garage above your house, correct?
Correct. No, it's still going to be at least 2 feet lower.
Okay, and that was the only question I had, and I don't have any issues with it, especially if your neighbors don't.
Okay, and Mr. Ross?
Just to remind everybody, Mr. Mills is seeking a use variance, or excuse me, an area variance. He's looking to vary the height of his accessory building above the allowed ordinance limit. To get that variance, he's supposed to show to the board that he has encountered practical difficulties under the law, and the factors to be considered and weighed in determining whether a property owner seeking an area variance has encountered practical difficulties in the use of his property include, but are not limited to, number one, whether the property in question will yield a reasonable return, or whether there can be any beneficial use of the property without the variance. Number two, whether the variance is substantial. Number three, whether the essential character of the neighborhood will be substantially altered, or whether adjoining properties would suffer a substantial detriment as a result of the variance. Number four, whether the variance would adversely affect the delivery of governmental services such as water, sewer, garbage. Number five, whether the property owner purchased the property with knowledge of the zoning restriction. Number six, whether the property owner's predicament feasibly can be obviated through some method other than a variance. And number seven, whether the spirit and intent behind the zoning requirement would preserve substantial justice done by granting the variance. Those are the 7 factors to consider. No one is more important than the other. Not all might be present in this case, this instance, but those are the things you should consider in weighing whether to grant what they're requesting, and that is the area variance to build 7+ feet higher than allowed for an accessory building. But if you have any questions about any of those factors or the law or any of it, let me know.
Any questions? Alrighty, any additional comments by anyone? Alrighty, hearing none. Would like to bring this variance to vote in the form of a motion from anyone on the board.
I move
Move to approve or deny?
to approve.
Is moved by Mr. Coleridge to approve the variance request by Mr. Mills for a height of a structure to be 22 foot 3 inches, which is 7.3 above the 15-foot limit. Discussion. Roll.
Mr. Coleridge,
Aye.
Mr. Minor,
Aye.
Mr. Parker,
Aye.
Mr. Jones.
Aye.
Variance granted. Move to adjourn.
So move.
Moved by Mr. Meyer to adjourn. Discussion.
Mr. Lewis, just a
Yes.
point of observation. Looks like you got comments from board members, agenda item. I don't know if you want to.
Yeah, you know what, I skipped that because we had the comments. Do we have any additional comments from board members? Thank you, Mr. Ross. Seeing no additional comments, again, motion to adjourn. Mr. Minor?
So move.
Thank you. Moved by Mr. Meyer to adjourn. Discussion. Roll.
Mr. Minor,
Yes.
Mr. Coleridge,
Aye.
Mr. Parker,
Aye.
Mr. Jones.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
Thank
Okay.
you.
See some of you in a little bit.
And then Mr. Mills, I believe Mr. Panko just has to sign the building permit and you will be good to move forward with your project.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Mr. Panko, when will you be in the office again?
I could do it tomorrow.
Perfect. So tomorrow sometime, you should be good to go.
Sure.
Okay,
We'll
Thank
give
you
you a
very
call
much.
when he signs it.
okay, great.
Okay.
All right,
And
thank you.
I'll tell you while we're still recording, thank you for such the detailed drawings and such. We get some of these that are pretty rudimentary, if you could.
Yeah, I do appreciate that too. So,
So it was very thought out and appreciated. And I think what you're doing on the property looks fantastic. So
All right,